Hey everyone, let's talk about that moment. You know the one. You open your cloud bill and your heart just sinks. It's confusing, it's way higher than you thought, and you feel that little bit of panic. Well, if that's you, you're in exactly the right spot. Today, we're going to dive into Azure Cost Management and turn that bill shock into a solid strategy.
This quote, it's a classic, isn't it? We went to the cloud, it'll be cheaper. But then the bill comes in and it's not. The big promise is efficiency and savings, but the reality so often is this surprise invoice that makes you wonder, where on earth did all that money go? So if that sounds a little too familiar, don't worry. Look, the cloud isn't the enemy here. It's all about learning how to master it. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to walk through the exact tools you need to investigate, prevent, and seriously optimize your spending in Azure.
All right, first things first, we have to go back to the scene of the crime, that giant bill. To figure out what happened, we need a detective. And in Azure, your detective is the cost analysis tool. This is where we stop feeling like a victim of high costs and start acting like the lead investigator.
So what is this cost analysis tool? Well, just think of it as your own personal, interactive dashboard for everything related to spending. It sucks in all that super complex billing data from every single service you're using, and then it spits it out in these easy-to-read charts. You can filter it, slice it, dice it. Basically, you can look at the data any way you want.
Okay, so in a perfect world, right, your daily costs look kind of like this. Just a nice, flat, predictable line. No surprises, you know what's coming. This is your baseline, the normal heartbeat of your cloud setup.
And then, bam, one day you log in and see this giant out-of-nowhere spike that just completely demolishes your budget. Maybe a dev left a huge VM running all weekend, or a function got caught in some crazy loop. Whatever it was, this is the moment that kicks off the whole investigation. So what happened? That's the big question, right? Hopefully not $1 million question, but you get the idea. This is where we put on that detective hat and fire up the cost analysis tool, because it's built to answer this exact question, step by step.
The whole process is basically like a funnel. It's designed to help you narrow things down super fast. So you start broad, right? You filter down to the exact time the spike happened. Then you group by service to see which category was the problem. Was it VMs, storage, something else? From there, you can drill down to the specific resource that went rogue, and finally, figure out the why.
Now, here's a pro tip. Seriously, this is a game changer that makes your investigation 1,000 times easier. Use tags. If you're tagging your resources with stuff like the project name, the department, or the environment, dev versus prod, you can filter your entire cost analysis by those tags. Suddenly, you can see exactly how much the marketing team's new project is costing. It's unbelievably powerful. Okay, so playing detective is great for figuring out what went wrong. But you know what's even better? Preventing it from happening in the first place. So let's switch gears from being reactive to being proactive. It's time to set up some financial guardrails using alerts and budgets. Azure basically gives you two main tools for this. First, you've got anomaly alerts. These are kind of the set it and forget it option. Microsoft's AI just watches your normal spending and shoots you an alert if something looks off. Simple. Then you have budgets, and this is where you take control. You define the spending limits, you set the rules, and you decide exactly what happens when you get close to those limits. Setting up a budget is super straightforward. Just 4 quick steps. You pick what it covers, like a subscription or just one resource group, and set the amount. But the real magic, the really cool part, is in the last 2 steps. You can set it to warn you as you get close, like at 50%, and then again at 75%. And then, when you hit that 100% mark, you can trigger some really powerful custom actions.
Okay, this is so important to understand. A budget is not a hard limit. It's not going to just delete your resources when you hit the number. That's a huge misconception. Think of it as a notification trigger. It tells you, hey, you've hit your spending limit, but it's not going to shut down your production website. And thank goodness for that, right? It's on you to decide what to do with that information.
But, and this is a big but, here's where it gets really powerful. While a budget won't shut things down by itself, it can trigger automation through something called an action group. So you could set up a budget where, if you go over by, say, 10%, it automatically runs a script that shuts down your entire dev/test environment. This is how you put a real hard stop on spending for non-critical stuff. So we've looked back with our detective work, and we've set up guardrails to look forward. Now it's time to get strategic. Let's talk optimization. This isn't just about stopping surprise spikes, it's about actively finding ways to pay less for the exact same stuff you're already using.
And our first stop here is Azure Advisor. The best way to think about this? It's like having a free, personalized cloud consultant that's built right into Azure. It's constantly scanning your setup and giving you this tailored list of recommendations to improve everything: reliability, security, performance, and, the big one for us, cost.
And we're not talking about vague advice here. Advisor gets super specific. It'll point to a VM and say, hey, this thing has been running for a month and its CPU usage is under 5%. You should probably shut it down or right-size it to a smaller or cheaper version. It'll even spot bigger strategic wins, like telling you when it's time to look into reservations. Look, for anything that's running 24/7, like your production servers, pay-as-you-go is the most expensive way to do it. Azure really rewards you for commitment, and you've got two main options: reservations and savings plans. Reservations give you the absolute best discounts, but you have to be very specific, like I want this VM series in this region for 3 years. Savings plans are more flexible. You just commit to spending a certain amount per hour on compute, and you get a discount across different VMs and even different regions.
The trade-off is pretty simple. The longer you commit, the more you save. We're talking real money here. A 1-year commitment can slash your costs by about 40%. Go for a 3-year plan, and you could be looking at savings of up to a whopping 70% compared to just paying as you go. For any workload that you know is going to stick around, this is probably the biggest lever you can pull to shrink your bill.
All right, we've talked about a ton of tools for investigating, preventing, and optimizing. But you know what? The single most important change you can make, it isn't about a tool at all. It's about a shift in culture. It's about starting to treat cost as a feature, something everyone on the team owns. For way too long, cost has been this thing that only managers or the finance team looked at. But who's actually making the decisions that drive the bill up? It's the developers choosing the architecture. So here's the idea. Give them read-only access to cost management for their own dev and test environments. It's a total game changer. Once a developer sees that choosing, say, a premium service has a real dollar amount attached to it, they start thinking about cost from the very beginning. And really, it all boils down to this. Cost isn't an afterthought. It's a core requirement of any application, just as important as performance or security. When you empower developers with this data, they stop being just code creators and become key players in managing the financial health of the whole project. So, let's wrap this up with a question for you. The tools are all there. The strategies we talked about are clear. So, isn't it time to stop just reacting to your cloud bill and start actually architecting for it? Go on, dive in, turn that chaos into clarity, and find out just how much you can save. You might be surprised.